The Blood. The Stone's Blade. Book 1 by Allynn Riggs. Narrated by Tristan Wright, Jennifer March, Nicholas Mondelli, Nicholas Corda, and Elias Khalil. Dedication. To Morgan, the first to believe. This one is for you. Chapter 1. Circle of 7 sing safe passage. Divide by 2 and send in deep sleep. The blood and balance shall each save 1. Awakening 3 to rejoice with time's message. Time will soon come for reunion's leap. 6 will sing, joining 3 homes and sons. Renloret reread the first verse of the first song of the oldest manuscript he'd found on the shelves. The ancient language sang in his head. He wondered how the true melody would have sounded. It was a curious little song, and he wondered what it meant. All the early songs had meaning. The sweet high notes of the 9 bells crept into Renloret's consciousness, and he looked sharply at the tower visible from the library's third-floor windows. "Blades, I'm late," he muttered to himself as he slammed the heavy book shut, raising a cloud of dust particles that scattered in the mid-morning light. He waved his hand briefly to scatter them further, then shoved the book back onto the shelf. Not caring if it was in the correct space, the librarians could figure it out later. "I can't afford to be late this time," he grumbled. "Don't have time for the lift. Take the stairs." He hurried to the old stairway and took 2 stairs at a time, all the way to the main floor, vaulting the last 4 steps and grinning as he thought about how his demeanor clashed with the pilot's uniform he wore, and the manner in which most pilots were perceived. He slowed to a respectable walk, ducked his head away from the stern shushings of the librarians, scowling from behind the counter, and slipped out of the library and into the broad expanse of the university's central plaza. Once away from the building, he glanced up at the bell tower, wishing it had not yet tolled the 9th hour, and broke into a run. His headlong sprint carried him across the plaza's mosaic carpet of mosses designed to inspire peacefulness, as he dodged around startled students. A few tried to slow his pace by shouting, but he continued on, finally disappearing through the crystalline doors of the administrative building that stood in cold juxtaposition to the ancient stone and wood buildings of the original university. All the newest buildings were constructed with thin sheets of synthetic crystal to remind the citizens that they lived in the great city of Awarna, at the foot of the Digosan Mountains, home of the fabled Anyala stone. To Renloret, the citizens behaved as if they had advanced beyond the ancient, mystic mouthings, ignoring the fables and teachings of the stones and their singers. Raised in the Sancharos peaks on the eastern edge of the continent, he'd been fully educated in those fables and tales. And now, though he had no right to be, he was concerned about the lack of respect for the stones and the singers. He disliked the pretentious synthetic structures the government used. He was more comfortable in the stone and mortar buildings of the past, though he would put up with a lot in order to fly between the stars. Once in the lobby, he paused briefly to straighten his jacket and brush off the remnants of book dust from his sleeves. The lift in the corner opened to spew out its passengers, and he nodded a greeting to several of the uniformed officers on their way out. Once in the lift, he was grateful he would be the only passenger. As the doors slid shut, he said, "Main conference room, 12th level," and the lift took off. He pulled the small personal compad from his hip pocket, touched one of the 12 squares on its surface, and spoke. "Personal. Date. Mevin 14. 9th bell. I'm late, again."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?